So today we are upgrading our doorbell. First step is to turn off the power by flipping that circuit breaker switch. And most doorbells will have a screw at the bottom. I already unscrewed it there. It was just this one tiny little thing, and that allowed me to slide it right off, exposing that hardware. So I'm gonna take a screwdriver, unscrew that as my next step. Now I'm just going to have to unwrap this copper wire from each of these like so. And then this whole plate will be ready to come off. All right, got a flathead here to pry it off since we had a little glue. And there we go, it is off. So we're just gonna pull these wires out here from the back and we will be ready to put on our new plate. All right, so we are now mounting our Wyze wall plate here, making sure that those wires came in through the middle like so, and just affixing it with a screw on the top as our first step. Next, on the back of your doorbell, you will find two screws. Just unscrew them a bit. Remember the orientation of these two wires when you took off your original doorbell. Always a good idea to get a picture of that. And we're just going to wrap each wire around each screw and then tighten. All right, so these wires were so frayed, they looked like the hair off of Medusa here. So all I did is I just twisted them a little bit with my fingers before getting them mounted here on these screws, and that should make the job a lot easier now that they're not as frayed. All right, we've got our two wires wrapped around the screw. We're going to restore power to the unit, and we should see this front button light up orange for the final installation process. I'm not going to mount it until I see that, just in case I need to tamper with the electrical again. Excellent, we've got flashing orange. So the next step is just to connect it to your Wi-Fi system, and you can get that info either on the Wyze app or in the manual. So we're back inside now and have located our doorbell chime, and most of these covers you can pull straight off. There might be some screws on the bottom as well. This house in particular only has a front doorbell, not one in the rear. That's why this terminal is vacant, and these two have wires running toward them. If your home has both a front and rear doorbell, you'll see another wire running out of this rear terminal. So next we're going to locate our Wyze doorbell chime that looks like this, and as well as two wire nuts. So looking at the black wire, we're just going to take this cap off of it by pulling it off. And then we're going to go up to our chime here, and we are going to disconnect this black front wire and make a connection to our Wyze chime. So I'm loosening the screw to this black front wire, and then we're going to unravel that a little bit. All right, so I've unscrewed my black wire from the front, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this exposed black wire here, and I'm going to securely wrap the copper around that so it makes a connection and tie it off with a wire nut. All right, so I weaved them in and out of each other a few times. Got about 2 coils on that, and then I'm going to put the wire nut on and screw it in clockwise. All right, so we got about 3 or 4 turns out of that, and we now have a wired connection. All right, the next step is you're going to take this white wire and connect it to this front terminal, and then we're just going to tighten down that screw. All right, so the last step for our chime box is taking this red wire and connecting it to that middle trans terminal. Don't unscrew it too much when you're doing it because you still want to make sure that this wire right here stays in place. Then at the very end, just don't forget to tighten down all your screws. So I found a nice spot on the bottom of my chime box just to tuck the Wyze chime, but you could put it on the top or wherever you've got room, or even mount it separately within the box.